Good evening, everybody. Hello, everybody. Good evening. For those of you I haven't met, my name is Brad Turner, and I'm Jill's father. And we come to what is for Jill the scariest part of the evening, because it's time for me to make my speech and toast, and she has absolutely no control over what I'm about to say. And that is about to drive her insane. Before I start, there have been several people come up to me and ask me when I gave Jill away what in the world it was that I said. And when I asked her what it was that she wanted me to say, she said, "I want you to say that she comes of her own accord and her mother and I support her decision." Well, when she told me she wanted me to say that, I said, "Say what?" And she said it again, and I said, "I'm not going to say that." And she said, "Yes, you will." And I said, "No, I won't." And she said, "Then I'll get somebody else." And I said, "No, you won't." And she said, "Try me, fat boy." She said, "You didn't arrange this marriage, and you're not giving me to anybody." I got to thinking about that, and I said, "You got a point there." So I said she comes of her own accord, and her mother and I support her decision. So, yeah. All right. Now then, I'll start my speech. Now I'm going 15 minutes, Lucas, all right? All right. So on behalf of my wife, Terry, and my sons, Clifford and Mitchell, and my future daughter-in-law, Ann Bowerman, the Turner family would like to thank you and welcome you for coming out tonight to witness our great event, the marriage of our daughter Jillian and Lucas Puente. For many years now, Terry and the boys have accused me of calling Jill or making Jill my favorite. Okay? And while I always deny this, I will say that Jill here and now is my favorite daughter. Okay? She's all I have. All right? But as many of you men here tonight that have daughters can attest, there's just some kind of special bond that exists between a father and a daughter. We just want to make sure that their needs are met, that we see to their well-being, that we provide that extra hedge of protection for them. So, yeah, that's true, isn't it? Don't you think so? We've always, over the years, been proud of Jill and her achievements. Gosh, it seems like yesterday we were at Shamrock Park in Tyrone, watching her with one other little girl play on an all-boys t-ball team. And we take our competition seriously in the Turner family. But on this team, the coach took it seriously. But every time Jill got in that batter's box, she would drive him crazy because she would just stand there and pirouette around. This guy was playing to win, and she was just playing to have fun. Then there are those days that I wish I had just a little bit of the money back that I spent on those gymnastics lessons, trying to get Jill able to master a round-off so she could make the middle school cheerleading squad. All right, she was a tall and gangly preteen, and she could never get those feet together at the top. All right, so consequently, she could never master that round-off, and she did not make the cheerleading squad. Now, as we look back on it now, it's not such a big deal, right? But back then, it was a middle school heartbreaking event, I'm here to tell you. It was like a cry all night event. Then, Jill, I think, was fortunate that she had a close-knit circle of friends ever since her kindergarten days. She had Megan McElroy back here and Christina Comer. Christina, you did a sensational job as maid of honor, and you did so many things for Jill this week. It's unbelievable. So thank you very much. But these three girls did so many things together over the years, and I think that's why they're all three so successful, is because they were together so many times and saw each other through thick and thin all the time, right, Jill? Yeah. So, and then when they graduated from high school, they did this grand tour of Europe right out of high school. I'm serious. The three of them, right? Right. Yeah, and Chandler. There's four of them. It was like a 3-week tour. Now, I got to tell you here and now, if I had seen that movie Taken before they had left, it never would have happened. Never would have happened. All right. So Jill was through Sandy Creek High School and gone, it seemed like, in a blink of an eye. And she was off to UGA, and 4 years later, she graduated with a bachelor's degree in public and international affairs. Tell me if I get any of this wrong. And then a master's degree in public administration. And she got all of this in 4 years. So she got 6 years worth of education in the span of 4 years. Okay? All of that as an honor student. And then also, the last 2 years of that, she worked part-time in the admissions office. Right? There's the lady in charge of the admissions office right there. So that's pretty good stuff. Also, she came out of UGA without $1 of student debt. That warmed my father's heart. And she graduated summa cum laude. Okay? That's as good as it gets. I think all the time Jill was at UGA, she only got 2 B's. And I am satisfied that she vehemently argued the injustice of both of those B's until they ran around their office and quit arguing. Okay? I also point out that she didn't get any of that brilliance from me. So while she graduated summa cum laude, I graduated from college, laude have mercy. Well, that's pretty good. The day she graduated from college, she landed a job with Wildfire, a social. There's the Wildfire peeps back there. It was a fairly new social media company in the Silicon Valley of California near San Francisco. And I think your number one choice would have been to work for Google, but Wildfire turned out to be a blessing, right? It's a great place to work, great people. But we drove cross country to California, and it was a terrific bonding experience for me and Jill. We had a great time. We had several great stopovers. We ended up in Vegas for a little while. Great time. But I'll treasure those memories forever. But a little over a year later, guess what? Wildfire got sold to Google. It's funny how things work out. So Jill now works for arguably the #1 company in America, or in the world really. She lives in San Francisco, which I think arguably is the most beautiful city in America, although the most expensive. And then she looks out her apartment window every morning, and fog permitting, she sees a beautiful view of the Golden Gate Bridge. So at our house, Jill lives what we call the good life. She does not live in the real world. All right, then we have Lucas Puente. All right, I've said it before, but if Terry and I could sit at a computer and design what we would like in a son-in-law, I don't think there's a lot we'd change about Lucas Puente. Check him out. He's a good-looking young man. But he's extremely well-mannered. He's polite. He's respectful. He's kind. For as long as I've known Lucas, he's volunteered as a big brother, first in Athens and now in Northern California. And he helps mentor young men that have just a single parent home, just a mother there, no father. I think that speaks volumes to the kind of young man that Lucas is, but it also reflects well on his parents, Tony and Linda. As we say in our part of Georgia here, you guys raised him right. You did. You raised him right. All right? Well, when Jill went off to UGA, she took with her a love from Model UN. So I'll stop right here. I'll give a shout out to Marlene Holland, who's sitting right over here. She was the Model UN instructor at Sandy Creek, and she instilled a love for Model UN not only in Jill, but also in my son Mitchell, who is in Model UN at UGA now. And I think they come by that because they like to debate and argue because they get that naturally from their mother. So when Jill walks into tryouts on the opening tryout night of Model UN, there sits a sophomore, Lucas Puente, and his friend. Oh, he came in late. Okay. So Lucas came in very late, but he had his buddy Brett with him, and they both spot Jill. And they said, "Ooh, Brett, I think, said I got dibs on that one." Is that the way the story goes? Right? Is that part of the truth? Okay. But Lucas was not deterred, okay, so a few days later he asked Jill out. I think she told him no. So he asked her out again, and she told him no. So I think 3 or 4 times later, she finally said yes, and they went out, and we see what finally resulted from that. But what Lucas discovered was what a lot of people never do, and that is success in life rarely comes to the swift, but it comes to the persistent, okay? I'm stealing this quote that I heard a couple of weeks ago in a speech, but it's attributed to Jackie Joyner Kersey. It says, "Persistence and determination are omnipotent," and I believe that to be true. All right. Lucas is also an extremely bright young man. He came to the University of Georgia on a foundational scholarship. They don't give out very many of those. 22, 24 a year, that's right, I think. And he's from Wilmington, North Carolina. He majored in, double majored, finance and public and international affairs. Did I get that right? Okay. And as an honor student, that's part of being the foundational scholar. Now he is at Stanford University in Palo Alto, California, and he's completing his doctorate, his PhD in political science, again on a full ride scholarship. And that speaks to his capabilities and academic prowess, because they don't give out very many of those at Stanford. They don't pay you to come to Stanford. They're paying him. Right? So Lucas has quite a pedigree. He's got a resume. He's handsome. He's smart. He's polite. He's well-mannered. Did I mention he's a Georgia Bulldog? Go Dogs. He cares about others. He loves Jill. He has quite a pedigree, quite a resume. But then there's the it factor, okay? That's the moment that I knew for sure that he would be the one to marry Jill. And he knows what's coming. The Turners all call it the Rocky Mountain Pizza episode. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but we went to Atlanta a few years ago to see Georgia play Tech in football, and it was cold. So we didn't tailgate. We went to a pizza restaurant, Rocky Mountain Pizza Restaurant, to just eat pizza, drink beer, and go to the game. All right, so there were mostly Tech fans in that restaurant. And there was this one particular guy he was pretty good natured, I thought, but he was totally wasted. And he was aggravating Terry and Jill. And Lucas and I were sitting across the table, and this guy kept on and on and on. And when Lucas finally perceived this guy was a threat to Jill, he sprang, and I think that's an apt term there, he sprang to Jill's defense. And I knew at that moment, and I gotta say, nothing violent happened, but I knew when that happened, that, remember what I said a while ago about dads needing to provide protection for their dogs? I knew that my job of protecting Jill was pretty much done. Right? Because I knew if he was going to come to Jill's protection, then he was going to be the one from now on to provide that protection. And I knew that I knew he loved her, but I knew if he would protect her, that he was worthy to marry her. So that's when I knew. That was the it moment for you, Lucas. I knew that you were there. So we have one other thing to say is that when my brother-in-law calls it, when you come into contact with our family, you become Turner-ized. Turner-ized, that's right. That's because at our house, we live life full speed. It's that Ted Turner thing, lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way. Because everything we do, it doesn't matter if we're going to church or we're going downhill skiing, it's full speed ahead. We don't cut you any slack, and we don't expect you to cut us any slack. We dish it out, but we can take it. Okay? Lucas came into the midst of all that, and he never flinched. He took it. If he didn't run the first time we played gestures at our house, he never will. So we knew he was a keeper. So Terry and I have been married for nearly 30 years. And I think that qualifies me as an expert on marriage, particularly for being married to Terry for 30 years. Now, to be fair, there are people in this room that think her being married to me for 30 years qualifies her as an expert. So, Tony started sharing some things. Tony, Lucas's dad, started to share some things last night in an article he'd read. And I read the same article, and I wanted to share a couple things out of that. But he started sharing some things about marriage last night, and I wanted to add a couple things to that article. But there's some things three things I want to tell you about being married that I think you should take to heart. And the first one is, and Tony shared this last night, marriage is not about you. You don't get married to make yourself happy. You get married to make someone else happy. Okay? You are establishing a family, determined to make each other happy every day, make each other smile every day, make each other laugh every day. Desire and determined to be a vital part of each other's family, extended family, and always, always, always have each other's back. The second thing I would tell you is that marriage is for keeps. Your relationship that you've shared thus far up to today has been open-ended, but right now it's closed. So it's not so easy to walk away. So if this marriage doesn't make you happy, you can't return it and get your money back. And I would tell you both to determine to take the word divorce out of your personal vocabulary. That's the best premarital advice your mom and I ever had. Marriage, I would say, is a job that you have to work at every day. And sometimes you have to work hard, and sometimes you have to put in overtime. And the last thing I'd have to say is that love is a paradox. The more you truly love someone, the more you end up giving, and the more love you give, the more love you receive in return. And you don't just receive love from each other, you receive it from each other's friends, from each other's families, and from many others that you encounter along the way. It's like your relationship becomes a magnet and you attract people to you like crazy. So, if everybody would raise a glass. All right, here's to Jill and Lucas. May there be the sound of laughter in your home every day. May the love that you share today never diminish, and may that love sustain you for the rest of your lives. And may you never take yourself or your point of view so seriously that you neglect the feelings, needs, or point of view of the other. I love you both.